Thank you, Indy, and Farhad. It's slightly intimidating coming up and standing and giving a talk after those two presentations. I'm looking at the audience, and it's great to see such young and sprightly entrepreneurs in the room. What I'm going to talk about is DesignWorks, and giving you an idea for what DesignWorks does. We are an industrial design house, and traditionally industrial designers work with the clients, work with somebody with an idea and help them transform that from an idea into a physical product, into something tangible. And the kind of clients that you work with are startups, new inventors, small to medium enterprises, and global companies. And we design hardware. So these, if you drop it, it's going to make a noise. Probably 90% of the products we work on have some kind of technology with them as well. So there's software, there's apps, there's electronics involved with them. So Farhad talked about risk, and for the startups, for some of you who have new ideas that you're going to launch into becoming an entrepreneurial endeavor, the risk there is real, and it's something that you have to encounter. We're in an environment at the moment where we're hearing about the ideas boom. Indy talked about the government support and the drive into startups. We've got people going over to, we've got the government going over to New York and America, touting the innovation in Australia. And we're seeing a lot of talk about disruption and disrupting to survive. So the risk for startups is there. It's actually an opportunity. The risk for small to medium enterprises who have employees, who have staff, who have equipment, and for global companies is even greater. So there's a lot of pressure that we're seeing in this space around becoming entrepreneurial. And that entrepreneurial spirit is very much evident and is very real and recognized in the established companies and the global companies. So I'm going to go through this quite literally. And my first tip is, it's not about you. Mr. T says it's not about you. It doesn't matter how clever your technology is. It's not about that. Uncle Sam says it's not about you. It doesn't matter how clever your app is or the features that your app can provide. It doesn't matter. Even this guy says it's not about you. It's about the people who you are designing for. It is about the people you're providing your entrepreneurial endeavor for. If it doesn't resonate with the user, if it doesn't resonate with the person at the end of the line who's going to be using your product, your idea, then you're doomed. This is one of our directors and an entrepreneur that we were working with a few years ago. Indy talked about making meaning or being a meaning maker. And this really resonated with me because what this entrepreneur had designed was a really clever whole cover. Quite simple in thought. He's got patents around this. He's got lots of great thinking and ideas around it. He's got material technology around it. But that doesn't matter. It's not about that. It's not about him. It is about the people that this product will save the lives of. It is about the people who are working on a workplace or on a work site who don't need to break their leg or snap an ankle, or even worse, roll a vehicle into a hole that's not covered. This is what resonating means. This is what engaging with the final end user is about. If you've got a great idea, don't ask your mum. Your mum's going to tell you what you know you're going to hear. She's going to tell you how lovely it is and how it's going to be great, and she's really happy for you and for it. And it's not going to work for you. Be careful who you share your idea with and the feedback that they give you. If you ask your friends, they're going to tell you what you think or what they think you want to hear. And there's going to be a lot of enthusiasm about how great your idea is and how great it's going to be and how it's going to change the world. Actually converting that into dollars, actually transferring that enthusiasm into a business model and into something that's going to support you and it's going to actually make meaning is very difficult. So think about it in terms of not so much selling the idea that you have, but selling the problem that you're trying to solve. So work out what it is about your idea that people are going to love, and work out how you're going to translate that into a meaningful business and into a meaningful enterprise. This is a company that we worked with based here in Brisbane, who had the most amazing technology in a box. They actually packaged it in a tough suitcase. And for them, they were totally engaged in the technology, but the challenge for them wasn't so much about how the technology changed people's lives. It was about empathizing with how their customers were going to engage with that technology. This is for a telecommunications company. Their clients are telecommunication companies like Telstra and so forth. And their technology has to get rigged up into pylons or lowered down into holes, works in confined spaces, or works in very exposed spaces. How can that technology actually transfer across those people and make their lives easier, make their lives better? So that was the challenge for this company, where they had an expectation that the technology would work really well, but then transferring it and figuring it out into a way that would not just compete on price, but now compete on value, or in Indy's case, on meaning. Get comfortable feeling uncomfortable. This is going to stretch you. Fahad talked about how being resilient. This is going to put you into uncomfortable positions. This is going to put you into scenarios that you wouldn't normally expect. You're going to be challenged on lots of different things. You're going to be poked, you're going to be prodded, you're going to be stretched, you're going to find yourself in some pretty compromising positions. Get used to it. Try and turn it into a positive. The uncomfortable will become familiar. The notion of this is one that is going to be challenging. It's going to take you into new areas. It's going to take you into new scenarios. Take it seriously and make it happen. This is an idea that we had in-house at DesignWorks, and we saw that there was an opportunity to design and develop an electronic padlock. This is one that you can open and close using your app, and I could give the code to Paul, and Paul can go and borrow my bicycle from my garage that's locked up with this padlock. And then on Saturday, I'm sorry, Paul, you're not having access to my bicycle because I'm going for a ride myself. So you can control the access to it. Great idea. We realized that we needed to get this into the CES exhibition in Las Vegas, the Consumer Electronics Show. And there was an absolute deadline on it. And so we were pushed to the pump to get this out. We'd never designed an app in our lives. We didn't know what an app really was, or how we'd structure it, how we'd design it, how we'd make it happen. It was challenging. It got us out of our comfort zones. It was something that really stretched our capabilities and stretched the team. But we made it happen. And we got there and we launched it at CES, and it was well received. This has now been purchased by a Brisbane businessman. But the fact is that the learning and stretching ourselves around designing and developing an app, which is not what we normally do, has actually given us a positive, because we now are able to brief app developers. We're now able to talk knowledgeably about designing an app. We're now able to help our clients who have an idea that's going to be app-enabled, and help to translate and communicate across those platforms. So this resilience that comes from feeling uncomfortable and putting yourself in unusual scenarios is really, really valuable. Surround yourselves with awesome people. Fahad talked about this. Design and put together the best team you possibly can. Fill in the gaps around what you don't have. We all have our superpowers. We all have our own special moves. And find people that can help contrast what you are, and help be the yin to your yang, or help to come in with skills or experience that you don't have, and build a strong and robust team around you. You don't have it all, you can't do it all, you need the support of people. And having a team of superheroes around you when the going gets tough, these are the people that will help bring you through that, that'll help keep the momentum behind your idea, that'll help push your business idea forwards. These are the people that will support and help to drive it ahead of you. Fahad talks about trusting and depending, and this is a great example of that. This is an example where DesignWorks didn't get it right. This is where DesignWorks actually came unstuck. We had somebody come to us with this fantastic idea about 4 or 5 years ago of building an augmented reality play gun. And augmented reality 4 or 5 years ago awesome. We saw this as a great opportunity. So we jumped on board with this guy. He provided the idea, connections, and finance. We had the ability to turn this into a real product, and it was just such a great time. Some of our team spent probably over 3 months in China with our manufacturing facilities, working this through, getting it ready, getting it up to a point where we could launch it into the market. And that moment came, and at the 11th hour, we realized that the trust and the dependency that we'd put into this team member wasn't there, and the financing wasn't there. And at the 11th hour, we had to pull the pin on the entire project. There's now tools sitting on a shelf doing nothing 4 or 5 years later. So we took lessons from this. We got burnt by it. And this was an entrepreneurial endeavor that didn't work out. They don't always work out. So finally, make it, bake it, break it. And then do it again. Make it, and bake it, and break it. And you know what? Do it again. And you'll learn, and you'll develop, and you'll grow. This is a client that we worked with that had a medical device to help children with cerebral palsy. And this is just a selection of the prototypes that we made. There was literally, I think there's 8 or 9 there. We probably made 50 or 60 prototypes. And each one helped us to communicate better with stakeholders and people involved with this vision for the project. It allowed us to understand. It allowed us to be surprised. It allowed us to work out some of the assumptions that we'd made about how it would work. It allowed us to bring on board other people who are going to be involved with the project early so that they could give their expertise to the idea and iron out any traps for young players or any unforeseen hurdles that we needed to encounter. This iterative process is really, really important. Through this iterative process, you become an expert. You become a world leader. You become somebody who has got knowledge about an area or a space that nobody else does. This is another example where we've gone through this prototyping iterations for a startup that was based here in Brisbane. It was a husband and wife or a couple. He had some MBA accreditations and an idea. His wife was an early education specialist, and they saw an opportunity to design an app that worked with a tablet and a learning shape that a child from 18 months to about 6 years old could engage with. And we prototyped quickly and iteratively, low fidelity, medium fidelity, high fidelity. By the time we got to the high fidelity, we were spending quite a lot of money. But the risk that we'd taken on board was now narrowing down and narrowing down. We were getting more and more certain that this was going to be a fantastic product that was going to work in the market. And that probably leaves me on my final slide, which is thinking local but going global. This iterative process of trying and developing allows you to really come into a space that you can command. And particularly now, have moved from Brisbane to New York. They've got financing from one of Europe's biggest toy manufacturers. They have agreements with organizations like Sesame Street. And the global element is that they've been picked up by the Apple Store, and it's being sold through Apple around the world. That's where I'd like to leave things. Thank you.